Before you japa, hear this. Goat meat pepper soup might be the cure to depression. Welcome to Madness in Nigeria Living, and I'm your host, Gisi. The concept of what goat meat pepper soup is to the Nigerian man is something that I feel a lot of people don't even stop to think about. The first time I heard that statement was in a sitcom I was watching, Bob at Abishola, and Abishola's aunt was telling a white woman that it's because she did not take pepper soup, that's why she's depressed and whatnot. The statement was supposed to be the joke, but I stopped to think about it and I really paused. Nigeria surprisingly have one of the lowest suicide rates in the world. And maybe it's because our mental health sector is not taken seriously and we're very religious people, so we tend to not even report mental health issues. That is true. We are underreported and there's still shame and stigma concerning mental health. But there's also something that is true too. In the proper poor economy, your well-being, your mental well-being is not something you put into consideration. And that's why I said before you japa, hear this, because a lot of times you don't even pause to notice you're in survival mode. You're just trying to survive today and get to the next day. You don't pause to think about, you just survive, you just grind, you got hustle. That is not inherently bad. You have to adapt to your environment, and when you live in a mad environment, you have to be mad. But you're about to japa. You're about to move to a land wherein the madness will come to a halt. And that's why you need to hear this. Abraham Maslow hierarchy of needs. Abraham Maslow hierarchy of needs is broken into 5 stages of need. The first stage of need is physiological need, which is the need for shelter, the need for clothes, the need for food. The second stage is safety, financial safety, security, just normal security. The third stage is love and belonging. It goes without saying that the vast majority of Nigerian needs fall within the first 3 stages. The last 2 stages, esteem and self-actualization, I honestly would love to talk more about them, but I genuinely believe if you're curious about it, you should Google it, because I don't want to focus on them. It's not something I feel the average Nigerian should even think about, because the first 3 stages is something we don't even have met. Those are needs we don't have met. The poverty line in Nigeria is increasing every day. A lot of people are homeless. A lot of people can barely get new clothes. The physiological need is threatened every day. Security is threatened every day. And that's why we move mad. We have to move mad because those needs are not met. But what does this have to do with goat meat pepper soup? That's the thing. That's the madness. When those first needs are not met, the little things matters. A lot of people cannot afford to make a proper goat meat pepper soup in this day and age. When you get to eat that, it feels like orgasm. It feels like you have tapped into something greater than yourself. It feels like your body is about to leave you. And that's why it cures depression. Or more so, it doesn't cure depression. It gives us something bigger than us that we can't even pause to think about depression. And not just goat meat pepper soup. That's a metaphor for the little things. It's the metaphor for the extra 2K where somebody dash you. It's the metaphor for the free car ride that someone gave to you. Because these little base needs are not met. This in itself is a problem that will make us want to think about how our government should do better. But honestly speaking, this podcast cannot cure Nigeria problem in that sense. So I'm going to focus on what I think we should consider, which is, before you jump, pause to consider how this need not being met has inspired your whole worldview. If you go to a Nigerian church or a Nigerian mosque, what do they pray about? Oh, pray for God to give you daily bread. Oh, pray for God to provide you this. Prayer request to God is one of 2 things. God providing the social amenities, basic social amenities, or God destroying any person that will prevent those basic social amenities from meeting you. And when you grow up in this kind of environment, your mental health takes a back burner. But we are open for two things. We are open either Nigeria get better or we leave Nigeria. Either which way, we are open for a world wherein our basic social amenities will be met. When it's met, how do you live with yourself? How do you survive the day to day, not knowing how to live? Like for the first time in your life, you don't have to worry about the social amenities. How do you live with yourself? There's a pattern I've seen among Nigerians in the diaspora. The most religious people, they travel out of the country, they become agnostic or atheist. And I will argue that that pattern is linked to the fact that our religion is tied to basic social amenities being met. And when you're in a country that those basic social amenities are being met, you don't see a need to pray to God anymore. I'm not trying to preach to you. The other side of that correlation is this. The Nigerians in the diaspora are more likely to feel depressed. They're more likely to be anxious, and that's what this episode is really trying to tackle. Like, why do we get to this point when our needs are being met to a certain extent? Is because, first of all, we don't do therapy. We just use the basic things like goat meat, pepper soup to substitute what therapy can do for us. We don't focus on how our mental health matters. We don't focus to pause and think and say, oh, the fact that I was treated this way by my parent, by my pastor, how does it affect me long term? How does it affect the way I see the world? And now you're in a world wherein you are not in an hyper focus, let me survive the day type of mode. You are forced for the first time to reflect. You are forced for the first time to introspect, to look at yourself. And that makes you bored, empty, depressed. That makes you lonely, because for the first time you have realized, even people I consider friends, family, they are just acquaintances that we just relate based on our shared suffering. And now that I'm not part of that shared suffering, I feel lonely. How can we tackle that? How can we as a society open for the best? How can we tackle this for the next generation? How can we tackle this for ourselves? True love. Love for life. Love for humanity. Love for... I'm sounding too preachy. Not to sound preachy, but hear me out. Love. The thing with love is love will inspire you to care. And when you don't care about things, that's when you get to that point of blasé, that uninterested point that make you look at life through lenses that lacks color. Love introduces color. When you are in that hyper-focused stage of survival, where you are just trying to survive one day at a time, you don't notice the lack of color in your life. But when those needs are met, so as not to fall in depression, you need something bigger than yourself. You need love. Love for anything. It can be love for art, love for God, love for goat meat pepper soup, any type of love. Till then, because like I said, a lot of Nigerians live below the poverty line, so this is something they might not necessarily ever get to experience. But I'm hoping we get to a point wherein these needs are met and we will not see the need for love. The need for love trumps all. And I'm really trying not to sound preachy, but I'm beginning to sound like Jesus Christ. So this is where I will leave you. Just face every need. When you get to the point wherein your needs are met to a certain degree and you're beginning to feel bored, remember this and think of love. If you're already at this point, thank you for tuning in. Love. Let it also be known, I'm not talking about rom-com love. I'm not talking about happily ever after fantasy love. I'm talking about love for the little things. I'm talking maybe love for a pet. Love for watching a bird fly by at a beautiful sunset. I'm talking love for life. That's it, guys. Thank you for coming once again. We look forward to seeing you next week. Bye.